Hi, Dr. Bill here with another one of our video blogs. And of course, the subject on everyone's mind at the moment is the coronavirus, the COVID-19. And so we'll be addressing that a little bit more today. I wanted to send you two links, which I think you'll find very informative. So at the same time, I thought I would update you a little bit. I'll get to those links in a moment. And of course, one of them is very much about the use of vitamin C as a preventative in a treatment, according to the author, Andrew Soul, who's an expert in nutrition and also vitamin C, and he covers that very, very well in his video, and he says it a lot better than I can. So I've included that link of Andrew Soul on the vitamin C. Now, what you probably don't know about vitamin C and the coronavirus was revealed to me when I did a webinar recently with three world experts. And one of them was an osteopathic physician in Italy, Dr. Alberto Garoli. Now, an osteopathic physician in some parts of the world is a medical doctor as well as an osteopath. I'm an osteopath, but I'm not a medical doctor. In Britain, an osteopath also is not a medical doctor. So in America, and I think in Italy, I'm pretty confident in Italy, they're also medical doctors as well. So Dr. Garoli is actually working with a team of other doctors and specialists in the front line, treating patients that have contracted COVID-19, both those with mild as well as those with severe symptoms. And he uses a whole barrage of treatments or remedies to actually help his patients. And he interestingly expressed some reservations about using vitamin C. Now, everything's pro-vitamin C that you're getting from me and from others, but he expressed some reservation that if a person was too acidic, then that provided a better opportunity for the virus to get the upper hand, so to speak. And of course, vitamin C is ascorbic acid, which tends to create more acidity in the body, according to him. So he was, as I said, reservations about using the vitamin C if he thought the patient was already too acidic, because he didn't want to create the environment in the body that would help the virus, so to speak, when he's using all these other things to do that. So I wanted to address that, which I thought that was interesting. We can solve that dilemma to some degree, at least, by using the buffered vitamin C, which is usually sodium ascorbate or calcium ascorbate. The calcium ascorbate is not supposed to be quite as effective as a form of vitamin C, but nevertheless, you can actually use buffered vitamin C, which actually helps to reduce that tendency for acidity. I'm presuming that when IV, intravenous vitamin C is used, that may be a different situation, but I can't comment on that because this is something I don't know enough about. So, I confess to that, but obviously nobody seems to be concerned about it. But he just expressed some concern in those patients that have that tendency. So also, excuse me, liposomal vitamin C, because you don't get such a reaction in the bowels, I've mentioned earlier, or in other places. You take too much vitamin C for the body, you'll get diarrhea because it's an overload on the system. That's usually how you know you're taking as much as the body can handle. That's not to say you're getting as much as the body needs, but it's as much as the gut can handle. So there's a subtle difference there. Important to point that out. That's why if you take liposomal vitamin C, your body can handle it better because of the phospholipid combination with the vitamin C. You may still get some bowel reaction, but it shouldn't be as much, and you should be able to take more liposomal vitamin C than you would normally. but it is stronger and has a more powerful effect. I think because it probably gets absorbed better because of its combination with the phospholipid, which is a lecithin derivation. So I digress a little bit. So just moving on from that. So the liposomal and the buffered vitamin C will actually help for that acidity. A simple thing you can do is take some bicarbonate of soda, which is an alkaline powder, an alkaline substance. About whatever you take in the vitamin C, just take about half that amount bicarb of soda with it, and that will tend to buffer it as well to reduce that acidity. In my earlier blog about the coronavirus, I talked about detoxing. Well, detoxing actually helps to reduce acidity in your body. And I've often said, acidity in the body is a breeding ground for all the things you don't want to have. So the other thing is veggie juices, which I mentioned in an earlier blog, which also helps to alkalize. Something that I did not mention was the actual chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is usually made from the herb alfalfa, which also has quite a powerful alkalizing effect. In fact, we often used to mix up that anyone that had a gut infection, we'd suggest a formula of half water, half sparkling apple juice, chlorophyll, vitamin C, lemon juice, and colloidal silver. Put them all in the one drink. It tastes quite good, and that's actually often helps with gut infections. But again, that's another story. So you can offset that tendency. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about very quickly, and it is a complex subject, so I'm just going to touch on it. Our nervous system, we have a part of our nervous system is voluntary. Move my arm, my head, talk, listen, watch, is active. Another part is what we call the autonomic nervous system. That's the part that's automatic. We don't have to think about it, it just works. We breathe, our heart keeps pumping, we digest, etc. So those are the autonomic or automatic. That's the part of the nervous system. Now that is also divided into two parts, what we call the sympathetic and parasympathetic. And they perform different functions in the body. If you get fight or flight, your body goes more into sympathetic dominance. So you can shift between the two. And some of us tend to be more sympathetic dominant, some of us tend to be more parasympathetic dominant. Now, interestingly, the sympathetic dominant people usually tend to be a bit more acidic, and the parasympathetic tend to be a bit more alkaline. And you're going to say, well, what am I? Well, we do tests for that in the clinic, and we have a questionnaire that you can do to actually help guide you on that. But the testing is best because the questionnaire is only a guide, but that is available. So you, with the sympathetic dominant, they do better on fruit and vegetables, alkalizing, and don't do as well on flesh, meat, etc. Whereas the parasympathetic do better with some flesh in the diet, whereas they've got to control their fruit and their vegetables so that it's not too excessive. You can do anything short term. It's just the long term management I'm talking about. So there's some tips to actually help that possible contraindication with the vitamin C to help your body to be alkaline. Whether you're using the vitamin C or not, it's good to be more alkaline. If you want to protect yourself or reduce your likelihood of getting the coronavirus. So that's just something I have no results with, but just suggested by way of education. So the link by Andrew Soul, I already mentioned, is down there for you. Recommend that. It talks a lot about the vitamin C, and the other link is something I mentioned earlier in my previous blogs, and that was the Alan Smith story. 60 Minutes did a story on him some time ago, In 2009, Alan Smith contracted swine flu and he became seriously ill. Just went downhill very quickly. So they had to put him on a life support machine, ECMO, they call them, ECMO, an ECMO. He was on life support. He was in a coma. And to shorten the story, I mean, you can watch it. It goes for quite a while. It's 60 minutes, so I'm just giving you the summary in case you don't have time to watch it or don't want to take it that far. So he's on life support. All the team of doctors in the hospital had a meeting and they decided that they couldn't save him. They tried everything, nothing had worked, and they wanted to switch the life support machine off. The family were keen to try intravenous vitamin C, but the doctors wouldn't hear of it. Now, it's interesting, I don't get this. It's interesting they were prepared to switch the machine off, let him die, wouldn't be prepared to try vitamin C. Unproven, they said. Unproven. So, anyway, moving on, I won't get on my soapbox. So, when they had their final meeting to make the final decision about switching the machine off, one of them said, look, one of the team said, look, I'm feeling a bit uneasy about switching it off now. Let's give him a couple of more days, just see what happens. And then the family saw their opportunity and they said, look, you're definitely going to switch the machine off. You've got nothing to lose. Just try the intravenous vitamin C. Anyway, they persuaded the hospital to do that. Just before they did that, the X-rays were actually taken beforehand, and the X-rays had something they call whiteout, I think it is. When you do an X-ray, the X-ray shows dense material white, like your bones are white, and hollow material, or where there's more air or less density, is dark. So it's kind of like a negative. So when they took the X-ray of the lungs, it was all white. There was basically no air in his lungs. It was all of the mucus. So he couldn't breathe. So he was on life support. Could not breathe because the mucus in his lungs, he couldn't even see the lungs. It was like snow. So they did 25 milligrams intravenous vitamin C on the night, and then the next morning 25 milligrams. They did the X-ray the next day, and they could see some of the white out was actually darker, some areas. So some of the air was actually getting into his lungs, and he began to improve. And as I remember it, they gave him about 200 milligrams of vitamin C daily, probably 25 milligram doses, and started to improve straight away, as I said, showed on the X-ray. He was continuing to improve, still in coma, continuing to improve for a week. Then he started to deteriorate again. Why? Because they reduced the vitamin C down from 200 to 2 milligrams a day. Sorry, not 2 milligrams, I correct that, grams. So there was 25 grams or 25,000 grams. So I just correct what I've just said. So they gave him 20 doses of 25 grams, 25,000. So that was 200 grams a day he was getting. And then they dropped it down to 2 grams or 2,000 milligrams. He started to deteriorate. So he wasn't, when I say deteriorate, he was still improving, but not as much. So it slowed right down. He was flowing very, very slowly. For whatever reason, which I can't remember, they flew him to a hospital near his home, and the doctor there would not continue the vitamin C. He refused to do it. So again, they were prepared to let him die rather than actually give him the vitamin C. Certainly at the first hospital, but the second hospital, he just, again, not proven. Anyway, they got a lawyer in, a top lawyer, and the lawyer used some regulation which said they had to go by the wishes of the family. And so they reluctantly they put him on about 2 grams. They were using the vitamin C, but not a lot and not continual. But he still continued to improve very slowly. When he became conscious, he was able to eat. They gave him the liposomal vitamin C, 5 grams a day. And he started to improve much more rapidly. So that's the story, and he completely recovered. He also had leukemia at the same time as he had the swine flu virus. So they interviewed some doctors at the end of the show, some of that were pro vitamin C and some of that were not pro, anti. And one of the doctors just said it could have been anything that he recovered. They turned him on his stomach when they started giving the vitamin C. And in the first hospital, they said, well, it could have been turning him on his stomach that cured him. And the family said, well, why didn't you do that in the first place? Why did you do that last? So they said it could have been turning him on his stomach. And the other doctor said, look, he was having all sorts of treatments. It could have been a delayed effect. It could have been anything that could have caused him to recover. And he completely denounced the vitamin C cure. Now, he may be right. It's possible that something else did that. But just think of it this way, and this is what I did, and this question wasn't put to the doctor, which I would. Do you think it's possible that the vitamin C actually helped him recover? Possible. Be interesting to see his answer. Do you think it's more likely that it was the vitamin C than it was anything else? Because all the evidence suggests that obviously that was more likely than something else. So interesting to watch. And what's the message behind this? That I think the message speaks for itself. That vitamin C can work in some things. It's been proven to do that, but there is resistance from some doctors to use it. So this is Dr. Bill signing off. I've included, just before I sign off, I just want to mention that I've included the International Society of Orthomolecular Medicine have recommended a protocol for maintenance of the immune system and prevention for contracting viruses and even the COVID-19 virus. And it's vitamin C, of course. I'll include the dosages for you. Vitamin D, excuse me, and Dr. Garoli is a big fan of the vitamin D too. He uses that in Italy. Zinc, selenium and magnesium. Now, if you combine those with my protocol that I mentioned earlier, excuse me, I might be getting the COVID. Just talking quick. If you add my protocol in there as well, which of course vitamin C is part of it, the colloidal silver, the colloidal trace minerals, and the super green powder, you get a pretty powerful cocktail there. So it's Dr. Bill signing off, and I will, next time we get together, I'll be sharing some information with you on the last webinar I did with Dr. Garoli and two other world experts, and one of them is a chemist that's developed a product that so far has had a major impact. It's a natural product on infections. It hasn't been tested on the COVID virus yet, but it's been tested on other respiratory infections with quite good results. So this is Dr. Bill signing off, and thank you for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you on our next webinar.